All right, guys, remember that Monday, we went over how to write a rational number that is a decimal as a fraction and how to write a rational number that is a fraction as a decimal. It can go both ways. Fractions can be written as decimals, decimals can be written as fractions. So, looking first at decimals to fractions, remember to look at what place value it is in. So I see that this is in the tenths place value, so I know that this would be a -9 over 10. No simplifying necessary. That's my final answer. Now here I see that I have a whole number, so kind of get rid of that whole number first, and I know I've got my -1. Okay, put it big to the side, get it out of there. And now I see that I have 2 digits. I'm into the hundredths place, so I'm at 64 over 100. Now that can be simplified, and I can see that right away because I can see they can both be divided by 2. So I'm going to rewrite this as -1. Divide them both by 2 is 32 over 50. Now I can see that those can still both be divided by 2. That's not a great 50, but you guys know what I'm doing. So I'm going to divide them by 2 one more time, and I've got -1 with 16 over 25. Now, to go from a fraction to a decimal, you're going to have to do long division. So again, I see that I've got a 5, a whole number here, so I'm just going to write that first. You know that it's good to go, and it's going to have a decimal. You're going to knock this down, right, and flip it over. Move this over down below, and that's how I like to remember anyways. You kind of like knocking everything down, but I'll rewrite it nicely over here so that my denominator is on the outside, my numerator is on the inside. Add my decimal and a 0, and I can start my long division. So 12 goes into 70 5 times because 5 times 12 is 60. You're going to do your subtraction, and you would get 10 left over. Well, 12 doesn't fit into 10, so I need to add another 0, bring it down. 12 goes into 100. How many times? So let's see. 12 times 7? I got to remember these off the top of my head is 84. 12 times 8 then was 96. There we go. That fits nicer. 12 times 8 is 96. And what do I have left over? Can't borrow, right? You can't do 0 minus 6, so you've got to borrow. Can't do 0 minus 9, got to borrow. This becomes 0. This becomes a 10, but I got to borrow again, so really this becomes a 9. And now we're left at here. 10 minus 6 is 4. Or maybe, hopefully, you could just see that 100 minus 96 is 4. Add another 0. Drop it down. How many times does 12 go into 40? Well, 3. And you can make your line here longer if you want. Don't need to, but you guys see what I'm doing. It would be 36. Again, hopefully you can just kind of see that 40 minus 36 is going to be 4. And if you remember, once you get to a point where you are repeating yourself, oh, look at that, I'm going to be at another 4. I'm going to be at this 4 forever. That's when you can put the line over it. And it's not the 5/8 in this case, it's just the 3, right? So it's 0.583. So you get to stop your long division, 583 repeating. The 3 is repeating. It's written like that. You get to stop your long division when you reach the end, there's no remainder, or you start repeating. So your long division will keep going until one of those things happen. So let's try 8 divided by 7 over here. All right, I got to add my 0.0 straight away because 8 does not fit into 7. So 8 times 8, 64. I'm going to draw on Miss Bongiorno a little bit. Sorry, Miss Bongiorno. Do your subtraction. And I would get a 6. Bring it down. I'm going to have to erase here a little bit. Let's erase some of our last problem. There we go. There we go. Let's see, 8 goes into 67 times, because 8 times 7 is 56. Do that subtraction, you get a 4. Now my picture is going to be in the way. Going to write on me too. 8 goes into 40 exactly 5 times. Can I move this? Let's see. Nope, can't move it. All right, well, 8 minus 40. 40 minus 40 is 0. So I get a denominator. I get no remainder. I got distracted by my video. It ends. This is terminating. So this answer would be 0.875. And that's your examples. Now, moving on with the slideshow. Oh, let's see if I can erase all of this. We are now going to look at ordering. Trying to erase everything. To be able to order them, you need them to all be the same, meaning they should all be decimals or they should all be fractions. Okay? So if they're all decimals or all fractions, then you can compare them and order them. Still erasing. Almost done. I wish there was a clear button. Apparently there's not on this. There is on Zoom. All right. And then you're comparing, just putting them in order. When comparing negative values, the one closer to 0 is greater, right? So you guys know that. Here's some examples. Compare them using less than, greater than, or equal to. So let's first think about this. If I wanted to rewrite this one as an improper fraction like that, well, 1 times 8 is 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. So look at that. These two things are equal. Now let's go here. We've got 13 sixteenths and we've got 11 fourteenths. They're both a -2. So I need either both of these to turn into decimals, or I need to rewrite them as equivalent fractions with a common denominator. So I'm going to go with common denominator. Let's see, 16 times 4 is 224. So on this fraction, I'm multiplying everything by 14. So 13 times 14 is 182. And on this side, I'm multiplying everything by 16. So 11 times 16 is 176. And it's really kind of your choice, whatever way you feel most comfortable with. Which one's bigger? Well, remember they're both negative numbers, so which one's closer to 0? It would actually be this one, 176. If you want to turn that into a decimal, if you want to convert it to new fractions with a common denominator, either is fine. Alrighty, we're going to erase again because I've got more info on the next page. All right, see, this one already is in a decimal. I'm going to change this one to a decimal too. So I know that -4 would be my whole number still, and I know that 6/10 is 0.6. Now, this one goes 2 places though, so I want this one to go 2 places to my hundredths. You can add a 0 right there. If there's nothing after it, you can add a 0. Well, 60 is closer to 0 than 65, so it would be greater than. All right, this one is so close. -0.82, -0.81. Which one would be closer to 0? 81. It should be written like that. How you guys doing? So far, so good? Checking your answers, seeing what you've gotten right. If we were in class, this would be a time to ask for questions. Now, to order them from least to greatest, remember our rule is to put them in the same form. I've got 3 fractions already, and these ones are easy to convert, so I'm going to go ahead and go with decimals. 15/10, that's an improper fraction, 1 5/10, which is 1.5. -11/5, that's also an improper fraction, so that would be -2 1/5. 1/5 can be written as 2/10 because I multiplied this by 2 and this by 2, so that would be -2.2. All right, now they are all decimals. I can put them in order. I'm thinking this is 2.20 since I see 2.25 right there. Which is the farthest from 0 first, though? -2.4, followed by -2.25, followed by -2.2. And then we're into our positive numbers. 1.5 is smaller than 1.6. It's our greatest number. And voila, they are ordered. On the next page, you might want to put them as fractions first. Again, it's up to you. You might always want to put them as decimals because if they are fractions, you will really want them to always have that common denominator. So my preference is to always make everything a decimal. If I were to make this a decimal, it would be -0.6. That one's already simple and laid out for me. If I were to rewrite this one, it would be -2 1/4. As a decimal is now -2.25. Remember those quarters, those fourths, are ones you should memorize, ones you should know. So that just leaves my 5/3. Let's practice our long division. So there is a good portion of the work is just getting it set up first. All right. 3 goes into 5 one time, so this is 1 2/3. Let's convert 2/3 into a fraction by doing long division. How many times does 3 go into 2? It doesn't, so you got to add 0.0. How many times does 3 go into 20? 8. 3 times, I lied. 3 times 8, that's 24. Right? That's too big. Let's go with 7. That's 21. That's still too big. What is Miss MSMT thinking? It's 3 times 6. That's 18. You'd have 2 left over, and look at that. You'd be repeating yourself already right from the get-go. So 2/3 is 0.6 repeating. So this is 1.6 repeating. All right, everything's a decimal. Now I can put them in order. Which one is farthest from 0 in my negatives? Negative 2.25. Negative 0.75. Negative 0.6. And if you like to cross them off as you're using them, like that's fine. I did this one, I did that one, I did that one. And then I'm going to jump up to 1.6 repeating. And then last but not least would be 2, my picture's in the way, 0.1. Now the only thing we didn't do, and I forgot to do it on the last slide, was put it back in its original form. So this one would stay 6/10. And this one would stay negative 9/4. While this one would stay 5/3. Again, any questions? That's where you would go from here. There's one more example, but you are going to practice this now for homework. You are going to finish the worksheet from Monday. We'll make sure that it is returned to you, and that is it. I hope you have a fabulous day. I hope you enjoyed the day off yesterday, and we will see you on Thursday.